Well, it's another exciting day for Oregon State, and a lot of work over a long period of time. And so the kind of the second edition here of finalizing the signing class, we're excited about. I do want to thank our coaches and really our whole football department, the amount of work that goes into really starting with an evaluation process and then identifying what we want these players to look like and attributes of them, and then going out and finding it, and then getting into the recruiting process of being able to sell a vision to these guys. And so again, a lot of work goes into it. So I appreciate all the coaches' efforts in that, and the recruiting department again was outstanding, headed by Vince Skinta and Derek Ray and Dan Van Reet. So anyhow, really excited about again the additions we've got for today. I think we're addressing some immediate needs that we've got, just like everybody, but we got some immediate needs that we wanted to address, and I think we got that accomplished. But I did not want to kind of sacrifice the long-term stability and growth of the program, and so we got a lot of players in here that have multiple years to play, but we got some players in here that we feel are going to help us immediately, and that was important to us as we went. Feel just great. Again, it's about a year going into a second year, just where we're at as a program. Obviously, it's the day of recruiting to talk a lot about it, but the work's getting done this month in the weight room, and this leading into a spring practice that we're excited to get going with. And so feel really pleased that where we're headed, got a clear vision of what it looks like. And again, it's got a group effort with players and coaches, and so couldn't be more excited to continue that. Outside of that, I'm sure we got some questions about some of these guys.
I see you have, I think it's 8 preferred walk-ons so far. Where are you at on walk-on? Is there quite a few more coming? Or
I can see more coming. Nowadays in college football, there's 85 guys on scholarship, but that's not the whole team, and we've got a good amount of walk-ons on the roster right now, and we want to continue to celebrate guys joining us, and those guys are going to be a part of us. So, no, we are not done with that.
And then with this, the 4 that you've signed, is that it then as far as signing guys, or possible?
Pretty much, but we've always got a little bit of wiggle room, but probably be it.
Is the wiggle more toward a grad transfer if that?
That could be a possibility. Yeah, that could be a possibility.
Coach, talking to Jay Cookus, it sounds like you guys leave no stone unturned in the state of Oregon. He went from Astoria to Ontario to Vail to Coos Bay. Talk about how important it is at this stage of the development of your program to go to that length.
Yeah, I do appreciate Coach Cookus' efforts, because he did quite a bit of miles within the state. And again, I think the state itself, there's good players in the state to go get. Just because they're from this state is not exactly why we want them. I mean, we want them to be the type of kids we're looking for that can play this game, fit the mold of whatever position we're looking for in those attributes. So sometimes it takes a lot of driving to find those guys, and Jake did travel quite a bit. Not just him. We had other coaches to hit schools in the state, and so that's part of the plan. I think part of the plan, really, anywhere you're at, I think the location, vicinity close to you, want to be recruiting that type of talent, and we want to make sure we're not missing anybody in this state.
Can you talk about quarterback, talk about Jake being back for year 6, and Jebbia's upside?
Yeah, excited for Jake to be able to come back and have his 6th year, and the guy's been working hard. I've seen him out there throwing with the guys already, and so adding to the depth of that room is Tristan, along with others. But Tristan was here in the fall, I thought did a great job for us on the scout team, learning the scheme, and you can tell that he's got some physical tools and a desire for football, and so anxious for those 2 guys and the rest of the quarterback room to get back to work, spring practice, and continue and improve.
How much has the period changed between, now with December, or whatever it is, 20th roughly, and today, versus a couple years ago? Is that period more now about looking at the next signing class, the work you're doing, as opposed to trying to close on everybody?
Yeah, it's quite a bit different, just because a lot of the work is wrapped up in December, and so what you're actually doing in January is different, because you are looking at sometimes the next year, the younger kid. It's different on the high school coaches now. When college coaches arrive for a high school coach at the school, oftentimes it was just looking toward that February date. Well, now that so much work is getting done, the questions these high school coaches are getting is different because he's asking about the younger player and getting lined up with video and transcripts and things. So it's different. There's still work for the current year in January, but a lot of it is focused on what would be now 2020.
Coach, can you speak a little bit more to what Coach Cook has made inroads in terms of the in-state recruiting? We talked to him earlier today. He said that, he felt a great honor when you kind of handed that baton to him to kind of handle most of the in-state recruiting. What's that process kind of been like between you guys, and what have you seen him really succeed in locking down the state, so to speak?
I think it helps that he's just so passionate about it, being from the state and knowing a bunch of people already before he started to get it and recruit for the whole state for a year. Again, I think it's been good, and go back to us as coaches and identifying what we're looking for and having a process of evaluation and then getting on the same page, all 10 of us, and Jake's a part of that. And so now he can have the passion to go around the state and really try to find some of these nuggets that maybe are somewhat uncovered. And so that's got to be a part or a piece of the puzzle for us recruiting.
Yeah, a couple quick ones. To piggyback off that, there's some criticism of the talent level in this state in the high school football. Mm-hmm. How do you evaluate it right now? What do you see from the high school football players in the state?
I think it looks like a solid high school football, and the reality is when you're recruiting a specific player, not all 11 guys on his team or the other 11 who he's playing. And there's a part of evaluating because there's different talent level at different places, like even within leagues in Southern California, within leagues here. I mean, we've got higher divisions and lower divisions, and so that's all a part of the process. And again, I see it as a piece of our puzzle as we're building our roster, not the entire pie. I mean, there's just a piece of it. And so I think we can find good players, and we have in this state.
Talking earlier about Jake and Tristan, how do you see that competition playing out? What conversation are you going to have with the two of them about, how to go at it?
Oh, well, we talked to those guys a bunch, and they're both two competitive kids. I actually think the competition will improve both of them just going through it. I think it's important to have some depth at every position, and I think we've created it at that position. Depth forces some competition. Competition leads to better play, and so all of that has been explained and talked about. There's no surprises with the two of them. I think the two of them get along really well, and I think they're going to help each other.
Talking with Coach Tibazar and Lingren earlier, a lot of the parallel that they talked about of wanting to see in year two is consistency. What do you want to see out of this team, and how does that kind of parallel with what they said as far as consistency goes?
Well, I'm with that word consistency because, again, we talked about establishing something year one, and now we got to consistently build on those habits that we got established. And so I want these guys to have a consistent work ethic. I want these guys to consistently drive to get better and learn the scheme better and change their body and get faster and stronger, and being consistent gives them the best chance to do that. And so, to me, I just continue to talk about improvement. The individual basis to the side of the ball to the whole team, we got to continue and improve. Only way we're going to do that is on the day-to-day approach we're taking. And starting in the weight room in January, finish through the month of February, and then it's on to spring ball. And again, it's about improvement.
Coach, you said you wanted to get two guys, one on either, up front, interior guys on either side. Could you tell us about the two signees with respect to that?
Thomas and James, the two offensive defensive linemen. Thomas from Alaska comes in with a body type that we feel is going to fit perfectly inside because he's got some girth to him. Liked his athleticism. He played rugby and soccer. Came with to visit with his dad, and I think they had a great time, and just felt like he was the right fit for them and the needs in the interior part of the O-line. James, kind of a cool recruiting story. Defensive line coach, Coach Laney, Tibbs, kind of identified him just off a tape, dove down into kind of finding the type of kid and what his family's like. So we identified him before we even knew he had a deep connection to Oregon State with his family ties. And then, of course, his uncle playing with me. And so that turned into more of an enjoyable month of recruiting him, seeing the family again and telling stories and whatnot. So we feel great about those two additions. James coming from the junior college, still got 3 years of eligibility to play, but we feel like he can help us in the immediate too.
Your plan for spring football is what in terms of, how many days, weeks you practice, how you break it up a little?
Yeah, we get 15 days, and so we're going to go 2 weeks in March, starting really, I think it's the March 5th, and give us about 2 weeks. We'll go 3 times a week. and that'll lead into finals and spring break for the kids. And so we won't practice during that time, and then we'll bring them back after those 2 weeks and finish with 3 more weeks in April, the first 3 weeks. So 3 times a week, felt like we spaced it out a little bit more. Better for the bodies, better for more of meeting times to absorb practice and then improve on it. And so, again, I get 5 more weeks with these guys instead of doing it in 4, just more time to enjoy.
You hired Blue Adams to be your secondary coach. What are your thoughts about Blue, how he emerged out of a good pool of candidates for that job?
Yeah, I think the guy is top notch. He's been really well received here the last couple of weeks, getting around the players. Just was impressed with his ability to teach, knows the game kind of inside and out, played it at the highest level, coached it at the highest level. He's very familiar with the scheme we run. And I just think nowadays where we're set up, coaching the secondary, we're playing 4 guys at a time on the field, let alone a lot of times it's 5. And so you need an elite coach that can teach, and he can do that. And then his personality and experience just lead to the recruiting roads that is important as well. And so I think he's a home run.
Talking with Coach Tibesar earlier, he said he expects a dramatic defensive improvement this year. Is that something that, with this class and another year of experience for the guys that are here, that you guys can see happening?
I think it's important that we do. I mean, we got to improve on that side, and everybody knows it. And so you're not going to just improve by one way of doing it. You're going to get some new players in here as well as the players that are currently. You got to grow and develop. There's a bunch of young guys that were running out there last year, and so those guys getting bigger, stronger, faster, improving, gives us a chance, enter in some immediate, roster additions, and again, just year 2, familiar with the scheme, some confident in what those guys are getting coached by those coaches. That side of the ball, excellent, and if we keep to that approach, we should improve.
In regards to Blue, I know there's some thinking at least outside the program that we're going to look at somebody that had ties to California. What was the thought process of getting a guy that really has no ties to anywhere on the West Coast?
Yeah, it little comes down to what was the priority in that position. And I go back to, again, this coach, the teacher, because they got 5 guys on the field. It's a whole lot like an O-line coach. The O-line's got 5 guys with defensive backs. We got 5 guys out there. And so that was priority number 1 in what he's bringing to the table. Outside of being an elite person, and he's that as well. I do think recruiting is a lot about relationships and then ability to evaluate. And he can do both those things. And so I'm confident wherever we put him recruiting, he'll be able to relate well to the kids.
In regards to the roster, I don't how many guys have left from your program, since the end of the season? I've counted 4. It could be more.
I think it's within that ballpark, 4 to 6 or something like that.
Is there anybody, do you expect anyone else leaving before spring ball, or?
No, not really, but it's a different day and age now.
That sounds like a maybe.
Well, this day and age, the transfer portal, I thought I was going to get a few questions about the thing. It's part of college football right now. And I will say this, college football and at our place is not for everybody. This thing, you got to work and you want to be able to do it. And sometimes some people think the grass is green on the other side. And so I'm not even kind of worried about guys that don't want to be here. We're just fired up with the guys we got.
And then one other thing in regards to the roster, are there guys you're looking at different positions come spring? Specifically?
We are. Yeah, Key Wetzel, we're going to give him a crack at playing the secondary in the spring. Yeah, we've actually been looking at that, starting conversations with a couple of guys. So there might be 2 or 3 once we get going in March that might be playing another spot. But Key Wetzel is one for sure to play safety.
Is it because of his size and speed and he can translate back there?
Yeah, I think he can because he can run. Also, a little bit of depth at the outside linebacker position. We've got some guys in there, and so just what's best for the team. And Key has a skill set that we think can play back there and track the ball down. That it made sense.
Coach, speaking of transfers, can you talk about Addison Gums and Tyjon Lindsay and what you hope they'll bring to the team and the previous experience, of course, in the Big 12 and the Big 10?
Right. Well, with Tyjon, he was here during the fall, so we were able to get him out there and practicing, and he was impressive. Worked really hard, did a great job again on the scout team. I think he's a guy you can get the ball in space to, and he can create and make some things happen. Addison did not practice with us. He's recovering from an ACL, and so he won't be full go in the spring as well. So he'll be in a total limited fashion, but I think he gives us an opportunity to improve when he gets out there healthy.
going back to that quarterback situation, obviously last season you guys shuffled in a lot of different quarterbacks due to injuries and things like that nature. What is going to go into this year as far as preparedness to whoever gets that number one that they feel go, but that keeping that second person ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, last year, ups and downs, guys hurt in and out, all of that. I think that obviously you want to stay healthy. And so if we're going to stay healthy, he's got to get in good shape, and then we got to protect him a little better. And then we'll do that, but having depth at a position is important. And it's tough for a guy to start 12 straight without missing maybe even just a series or two. And so you always want to have the number 2 ready.
Coach, I don't think you've spoken on Akili Arnold. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, Keely was a two-way player, played both sides of the ball, and was just really impressed with his abilities, skill set wise, to catch the ball. He can run, physical tackler, but there's a chance he could have played both ways. But what we were looking for, and I think his natural form, is to play safety. We got into the recruiting process with him. He came out and a visit during the season, but then for a couple of different reasons wanted to do the February date, and that worked out best for us. So we're excited about his addition. You know, his teammate with JoJo on the team. So he was a great fit.
Well, Coach, since you said you were expecting maybe questions about the transfer portal, the world we live in, how does it affect Oregon State football, specifically the transfer portal world? Derek and Vinny on it every day. I mean, how do you guys handle that?
I think that, you are looking at it. I just think it's probably in the big picture better. It's just because everything's transparent now versus maybe back in the day there's other ways going around it supposedly or something when guys are looking to transfer. So I think there's some benefit to schools and benefit to players because not every fit works out perfect for everybody. But it is something that's real out there nowadays that we pay close attention to.
In regards to spring ball, who you mentioned Addison would be limited or not really do much. Who else is limited or won't be able to participate in this?
Calvin Tyler, the running back, he hurt himself really in fall camp last year. He's just going to miss spring ball, so he'll be in a limited fashion. Simon Sandberg will be limited as well, and that's really it.
So that's a significant upgrade from last year.
Total.
I expect that means you're more excited about spring ball.
That's right. Yeah, back into
a
year into this thing because you guys lived it. We were out there, and there's 14 guys over on the bike, or they can't go out there and practice, and so we're just not dealing with that this year. And just feels a whole lot better.
Can you say anything about the spring game yet? Where that's going to be?
I just know that it'll be the third Saturday in April. We are going back up to Mountainside, which I'm excited about, going back up into that Portland area where there's a bunch of beavers.
So it's going to be at Mountainside.
Yep, we're back up there, and I think it's a good experience for our fans, for our players to go up there and enjoy that / get out of kind of the same routine of 15 practices here.
Big picture, what are you most excited to see in spring ball, and kind of what are some of your expectations kind of heading into your second full spring?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for a ton of things, but again, this idea of improvement, each individual on an individual basis improving, it just feels more comfortable, just fine-tuning now, not totally establishing. You're just fine-tuning what we had been done because it's been established for a year. These guys know the schemes, offensively, defensively. There's nothing brand new there. And so I just think that the level of competition with healthy bodies out there and guys enjoying each other and enjoying getting better, I'm looking forward to all of that.
Oh, one other thing. Who's on campus now from the signing class? And is anybody of these kids going to be here for the spring or
Not anyone we just added this date today. We've got a bunch of guys from the December signing.
Do you know the number of them?
Anyone in the room? Vince, you got an idea? What is it, like 9 guys? Yeah, because Evan Bennett is here already. Anthony Gould is here already. Teron Madison is here. Winston Russell is here. Omar is here. Rob Vanderlyn is here. Jordan Whitley is here. Simon Sandberg is here. Tristan, Tyjon, Avery, and Addison are all